We've officially gotten our first look at EA Sports College Football 25's gameplay, and today we're going to go through the complete deep dive from the trailer and the blog post on EA.com, and we're going to go through all the information that has been presented to us. As always, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and comment below with your honest thoughts on College Football 25's gameplay. Let me know what you're most excited about and what reservations you may have. Let's go ahead and get straight into the blog post. We're going to go through it step by step. This is a beefy blog post, tons of information that wasn't even in the trailer. So let's dive in, starting with pregame. You have here Campus IQ encompasses the overarching concept that has been built on gameplay that is what it is today. With that said, they said there's 3 fundamentals of pillars that they're going to focus on for this year's game, with all 22 plus, 134 ways to play, and stories of Saturday. So let's get into the first one, all 22 plus. This highlights the importance of individual players and their unique abilities. It emphasizes the differentiation and talent between the best and worst players in college football, which is again something we've heard recently. With you will see on field the difference between a 5 and a 2-star player, between those elite teams like Georgia and some of those mid-major, just smaller D1 teams that just don't have the talent. When you have a professional football player going up against a dentist, you're going to be able to tell that difference because they're just, completely different skill sets. Moving on to 134 ways to play. From day one, they said their message was every team is somebody's favorite team, properly representing offensive schemes from Air Force triple option to air raid at USC was of the utmost importance to us. This is something I've been hearing echoed all throughout the community from players that were able to go see this game hands-on and hear from the actual devs. They said they wanted every team to be represented properly, efficiently, with their DNA, with their traditions, and all the like. So, me, I'm a alma mater. My alma mater is Arkansas, so the Razorbacks. So I can't wait to see, running through the A, the calling the hogs, all those different elements and stuff for me will stand out, where for others it's going to be, of course, what they have going on with Colorado, what's going on with Kansas, all these different elements for each and every team, each and every player. You're going to be having that here in this game, which is fantastic news. Also, they said the final pillar is Stories of Saturday, seeks to encapsulate the raw emotions of the student athletes as they perform under intense pressure in hostile environments. A true freshman is going to respond differently compared to a battle-tested senior. So getting that right was very important to us. And of course, that is a huge element. These aren't pros. This isn't, in the NFL, even the worst players on an NFL team probably were, of course, really good college athletes, maybe even all conference type players, right? Now here in college football, like I said, you have your 5-star studs that you're going to be seeing on draft day and making careers for themselves in the NFL. You're also going to have guys that are just going out there playing out their dreams in college football that are going to have careers in the medical field, as a lawyer, as a police officer, all these different elements. So seeing a true freshman going into LSU, Death Valley, is going to be different from seeing a battle-tested senior going to Death Valley, and you're going to have that actual dynamic in the game, which is tremendous. Now, going on to the next section is stick work. This is how you can, really focus on your individual elements of the game. So from the start, they said the primary objective was to capture the authenticity and the wide open gameplay of college football. We studied and tried to recreate the explosiveness of current and former college football legends, and this results in a game that allows you to not only play north and south, but also east and west, thus unlocking the whole new level of excitement of the college football game. However, they did not stop there. They introduced an all new specific run styles for different archetypes in college football 25. They say this will provide a more in-depth and personalized gaming experience for each player, and it allows players to mimic their styles of their favorite athletes or create their own unique approach to the game. So it's nice to see not all running backs are going to be tailored into the, the speedy back, the power back, the balanced back. It looks like there's going to be a whole lot more variety in terms of the type of athletes we're going to be able to use, and hopefully play styles that we're going to have for each as well. Now here is the section I think is really interesting. It's exciting, but also I have some reservations, and you may as well. So this is Welcome to Wear and Tear. Wear and Tear is a feature that is taking the football gridiron to an unprecedented level of realism. This feature ensures every hit matters and not all hits are created equal. Wear and Tear is a brand new and unique damage system that allows a whole new layer of depth and strategy to the gameplay and roster management. This is reflective of what we see on Saturdays week to week, of course. So Wear and Tear is designed to simulate the real-world effects of fatigue and damage on a player's performance. It operates on a play-to-play and game-to-game basis. So if quarterbacks, they thrown the ball 40 plus times in a game, he's going to be taking some shots in the pocket, of course, so don't expect that quarterback to be 100% the following week in Dynasty or in Road to Glory. So you're going to have a progressive fatigue or health system, it seems, for each player going game to game. So subtle gameplay components such as getting the ball out early, covering the ball when you're running, getting out of bounds instead of taking a hit, all of that matters more than ever. So Wear and Tear is on the all 22 players of the field. It's not just on the quarterback or like the running back. So every player, you have to pay attention to their wear and tear. So breaking into how it works, every limb, body part of a player is linked with attributes. So for instance, if your quarterback's throwing arm receives a significant hit, you'll notice a decrease in the throwing power and the accuracy for that quarterback. Similarly, the damage to the legs will impact players' change of direction and acceleration, making every movement feel a little bit slower. So each body part degrades at a different rate, and the player's toughness rating plays a critical role in how much damage is applied on a given hit. So the higher your toughness rating, the more hits you can take, rather than a player that has a lower toughness rating may get injured rather quickly. So the more damage a body part is, the higher chance of a severity of a major injury. Now moving on to getting actually hurt. Recovery is also a critical part of the feature for Wear and Tear. Players will regain health when they are not on the field during timeouts and at halftime and also between weeks. However, be cautious of your player's workload. The worse a body part is damaged, the slower that body part will recover. A player can only recover a limited amount of damage during a single game. So this encourages strategic planning and management of players to ensure optimal performance. When it comes to management outside of the quarterback and obviously your offensive line, teams will substitute around player fatigue or players that are injured or banged up. If a player gets really banged up on any given play, let's say he gets drilled in a hit, expect that player to be out a play or two or maybe even a series or more. Later in a game, the expectation is that the player will have to tough it out and get through that wear and tear in the clutch time of the game. So here you're seeing an example of how wear and tear looks. You see for LSU, Texas, Clemson, and UCLA. You're seeing you have the chart of your player here. It shows the wear and tear from 3 severity levels of slight, high, and severe. So, you know, you see here with yours here for Texas, he has a high risk of injury right now. And you see right there in his upper chest, it is red, severe. So clearly he's taken some big hits in his torso, most likely on sacks, being unprotected from a weak side or something like that. So he's got severe injury risk right there. So a high injury risk right there. Same thing for Clemson down at the bottom. His leg, his arm, his chest, all really banged up. So he has a risk of injury severe. So these are things you're going to have to pay attention to where you have your player reticle. So this is the left side wear and tear bars, right side fatigue. Note the bars will be depleting. So there are different gauges you're paying attention to on the actual field. So there's a lot of depth when it comes to this wear and tear system. And I'm going to give some extra thoughts on this as well. We're going to keep going through this. So now let's talk about depth chart. Here on the depth chart, you can see wear and tear on the bottom right of a player card, as well as the total in attribute and decreasing in a spreadsheet. So you can be able to see each of your players, the wear and tear, and see the degradation of their attributes as well as a result. Now with coach vision, you hold the left trigger plus the right stick down to see the wear and tear status of your entire roster, the entire team. So that's something you can do there. They also have picture-in-picture this year, which you can see that in this trailer. This is a picture-in-picture in play call menu where you're able to see some of these elements as well. They said they've added a ton of wear and tear get up animations, and after a player is banged up, you'll see a variety of animations for a given body part depending on the severity. So no longer are you going to see the days of a player's arm getting injured, but it shows them getting injured and they're holding their like leg or something like that. They're saying the animations are going to depend upon what the actual injury part is. So you're going to have actual realism there. And you can also manage your players' wear and tear in the Dynasty player card as well. So this is going to be a huge component of this year's game. Of course, substitutions are going to be even more prevalent because of this. So we'll encourage you to use multiple backs, rotate your receivers, your linebackers, your defensive ends, all these types of elements. You're going to have to utilize the roster rather than just the starting side of things. So that's really exciting to me. I do hope it's not going to be broken like in Madden's in the past where you had progressive fatigue. I hope we don't have this continue to ramp up and ramp up and ramp up, and all of a sudden every hit's an injury, and then by the end of the game you have 4, 5, 6, 7 starters out, and then by the end of your season you have tons of people out of injuries and stuff. Now I know injuries are a realistic part of the game. I just don't want it to be overdone and overblown to where you have tons and tons and tons of injuries. That just isn't realistic. You know, you're gonna have a couple injuries a game. It's mostly minor. Sure, you may have a significant one just by sheer accident or crazy hit to something of that nature, but I just hope it's not overdone. But I am excited about this wear and tear feature. I think it adds a realism to the game, and I'm all about that. Now let's move on, talk about the option game. A lot of you are excited about the option playbooks with the RPO and all the stuff you can do with the triple option, read option, all that kind of stuff, the go-go offense, everything. So let's get into this, talking about Campus IQ. This encompasses the overarching concept that's been built gameplay, where it's at. So with the option, they're saying they're wanting to make sure it's a fundamental part of the sport. They said the first thing they wanted to target was to make the mechanic mirror the real life quarterback and running back exchange. So in an actual football game, the quarterback places the ball in the running back's belly, or the target, of course, with the intent that he's going to hand off the ball. However, when the quarterback reads the key, so he makes his read, whether that be the defensive end, an outside linebacker, whatever it may be, if he makes the right read, he can pull the ball back from the running back, and now you will replicate that within the game. So with the in-game this year, with the A or X button, you will pull to keep the football. So this is different from where we were in the past games, where you would hold the A or X button to hand it off to the running back. Now, the handoff is the default in your options from what it sounds like here. The handoff is your default. If you want to pull to the quarterback, you press the A or X button to pull or keep. So I'm really excited about that change. I'm sure it's going to take some time to get used to that change because this is the first time we've seen that in one of these games. But I like that change. Y'all let me know what you think about the change to pulling or keeping for the read option with the press of the A or X button. Now, the changes to the pull mechanic simplifies your read. It will also be there for RPOs and make them more usable than ever. So if you don't touch anything within an RPO, the quarterback will simply hand the ball off, like we said. In an RPO scenario, if you want to bail from your read and run, you press A or X. If you want to hit a receiver, you simply press the receiver's corresponding button. So within RPOs now, that's going to help you be able to actually run your read and peaks or your alerts and glance, whatever it may be. You're going to be able to run those more functionally now compared to where you've been in the past. They've also made some adjustments to differentiating your pitch strength. So not all pitches will be alike. For now, you can do a quick tap to execute a quick pitch while holding the left bumper or L1 with a strong pitch. You can do a quick tap for a swift pitch using a tight spot. So let's say there's a player closing in on that pitch, you got to get it off quick. You can do a quick tap to make a swift pitch in a tight spot, but that could potentially lead to a fumble scenario, right, happening. So holding down the left bumper or L1 button will make a strong pitch, which is suitable when there's ample space between you and an approaching defender. It requires more time, but it will have a precise velocity and accuracy. And of course, you can do fake pitch activated by double tapping the pitch button as well. So new control around the quarterback will branch out of the option movement as well. So if you hold the right trigger or R2 button when you're a couple yards past the line of scrimmage, you'll now branch into a standard ball carrier motion. You're no longer going to run like you're a scrambling quarterback. So you'll be able to use this when you get the edge, you decide to go take it to the house. You'll be able to run like a normal running back would rather than a quarterback just scrambling. So they've added a ton of new animations with this. including a comprehensive set of pitch animations and pitch catches as well. And they've also introduced new pitch out of tackle animations in this year's game as well. So a ton of cool things there. But the defense has also received significant upgrades. So let's dive into this now. New AI logic has been added for read and pitch keys, including new read key animations. So now, for instance, they're more likely to stay home and play the quarterback when in a wide hash mark. Conversely, when the offense is close to a first down, they'll play the dive more frequently than they will the keeper. So you have these pitch reads or these keys. They'll now exhibit more varied behavior with the ability to bluff whether they're playing the quarterback or the running back. So having this option defense now, these different adjustments, is going to make it more authentic and immersive in game. So there's a lot of really exciting elements there. I'm loving what I'm seeing. Let's go ahead and get into the abilities. This is something that has been, obviously we know there's no X Factor abilities in this year's game, but there still is player abilities, including over 80 abilities in game, the majority of which are completely new to the football gaming space. These abilities are purely situational boosts, and they are no guarantees. So you can't just automatically, get into your abilities like you've had in Madden. These are not guaranteed. They are categorized into physical and mental abilities and divided into 4 tiers: bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. A player can have at any given time 5 physical and 3 mental abilities, with a maximum, of course, of 8 abilities of a player. So the aim of this, of course, is to, the further you progress as a player, the more talented a player is, the more abilities you'll have. So for instance here, consider a new grip breaker ability under the physical category. This ability bolsters a defender's capability to disengage from a block. And at the bronze and silver tiers, this ability is only applicable during run plays. However, in gold and platinum levels for the grip breaker, it also will apply to pass plays, which affects the effects of that type of ability are amplified significantly. So these are exciting. Right here, you're seeing a screenshot of Travis Hunter, one of the cover athletes of this year's game, and you can see his overall stuff. You see the physical traits or abilities he has. He has sure hands, 50-50, double dip, layout, and recoup. So you see what each of those does for him. And then you go to the next side here, you see his mental attributes he has as well. So he's decked out. He has 8. So for mental, he has fan favorite, best friend, and clear headed. So you can read what each of those do as you look at these screenshots here, but it's really nice to see these. I'm hoping they're not going to be OP or overpowered. The fact that they said they're not guaranteed to work every single time tells me that it's really situational to the type of hit or the type of play situation you're in. So that's exciting to me. Let me know what y'all think about the player abilities overall right now. So let's get into one element here with pre-snap recognition. So this is something I think is really, really exciting. When you're at the line of scrimmage, as an experienced senior, they can see a whole lot more compared to a new freshman coming straight out from high school to college. Okay, so play recognition, pre-snap recognition features designed to bring a new level of clarity to the line of scrimmage that reflects the experience of the player controlling in the game. So for instance, again, a freshman may not be able to see or identify a blitz coming or what the shell of a defense is at a line of scrimmage, compared to a senior who's been there, done that, and can call these things out because, of course, of all the experience they've gathered through their years of playing in SEC football or in the college, wherever they may be, right? So this new system also takes into account player and coach abilities, home field advantage, and coverage shells as well. So these are really, really exciting to see. I'm really excited to actually get my hands on game and see what these player abilities feel like, and if it truly is diverse, not guaranteed, if the tiers really matter from bronze to platinum. I'm really excited about this, and I'm excited to see from our Razorbacks what players and what abilities they may have. Moving on, I told y'all there's a ton of information in this blog, so this is a lengthy video here. Let's get into confidence and composure. So this is about moment-to-moment gameplay, reflecting the real-life ups and downs of these student athletes as the game unfolds. Just like you see on Saturdays, players can get hot or they can go cold, depending on an outcome of every single play. So experience matters. It's a critical part. A freshman, again, will be more volatile swings compared to a seasoned senior. So let's say there's a freshman that had a terrible play. They lose, you know, a running back freshman takes a bad tackle for loss, loses 5 yards. They may go cold really quick. Versus a senior who may have a tackle for loss, loses a few yards, shakes it off, and can get back to a hot streak pretty quick and, you know, just shrug off that bad play. So you're going to have that dynamic of their confidence and their composure depending on their experience and player level there, right? So in a heated atmosphere like a rivalry game, so the stakes of maintaining your composure are higher as well. Events such as scoring a touchdown can lift the player morale of your entire team, while individual achievements such as a pass breakup can significantly boost the composure of the player who made that big play. So it's important to take note of your composure, and it is highly individualized, driven by your each player archetype. So for instance, when a player starts to cook, a scrambling quarterback will have the ability to have improved ball security, while a field general will benefit from improved throw accuracy because of the high composure. Additionally, players that have unique mental abilities that influence their composure, these abilities can even affect their teammates from the group position. So let's say you have somebody in your linebacker core that has one of these abilities. Consider the Legion ability, which increases the confidence of all other defensive backs when a player gets an interception. So you can see these types of abilities translate into your player positions as well. Really excited about this. The confidence composure element is huge in college football. I'm really excited to see it play out on the field. Now let's get into coach vision. So in real time, pre-snap, you will see your wear and tear. You will see your composure and your confidence as well. And you'll see your abilities as well. So you're seeing these screenshots that are showing some of the composure, the blocking, matchups, wear and tear that you can kind of filter between. You also see your matchups with your abilities as well. Like you see some players that have 1 ability, 2 abilities. Some players have 7 or 8 abilities. So you can also see your matchups, whether or not you have basically an easy play to make. So there is now color coded for ease. Green means you have a favorable matchup. Yellow means you have an even matchup, and red means there's a disadvantage there. So this new system at the line of scrimmage will help you quickly assess and adjust your gameplay play to play accordingly. And here's a big one that a lot of you want to know about is home field advantage, which was showcased in the trailer. And now let's get into what the blog post has to say. So of course, winning on the road is a very difficult thing to do, especially in a power conference, right? So think of, like, you know, you're playing over in Death Valley, you're playing at Penn State, you're playing at the Big House, wherever you're playing, it's gonna be a tough environment. So they wanted to make sure that the environments were varied and different, that there's going to be audio and in-game modifiers that will change according to this. So for instance, you might experience squiggly lines, play art appearing incorrectly, audibles and hot routes falling apart, or receiver icons fading in and out during crucial moments of the game. So you're going to have that kind of stuff in game because of the environment you're playing within. They're also saying this is going to lead to more immersive experiences and add another layer of strategy to the gameplay as well. Now, in addition, they decided to pay homage to, of course, NCAA 06 and add and reintroduce the shake screen, the stadium pulse meter, and allowing you to tell the crowd to get louder by flicking up the right stick or flicking it down to quiet them down if you're on the offensive side of the ball. So the audio team said that they really wanted to make sure to bring life to home field advantage with the new stadium mixes. This nostalgic feature not only adds a touch of authenticity, but also intensifies the moment, making you feel like you're in the heart of the action of a college football game. So this is super exciting for me. I love the college atmosphere, the pageantry of all of that, and I love just the element the crowd noise can change literally a game. And the louder the crowd gets, the higher the modifier goes. The composure takes greater hits. All these elements, it's going to add a lot of dynamic play to the game, and I really can't wait to get my hands on that. Let's dive down. Let's talk about revamped passing. So the quarterback position is, of course, critical for any team out there. So they wanted to change up some of the things and really hone in on layering the football. That's a term you're going to hear a lot from the dev team through this process. They're saying this includes everything from dropping the ball into the bucket to your tight end right between the linebacker and a free safety up a seam, from throwing a bullet on the 12-yard dig route. These different trajectory changes really allow you to throw open a receiver truly. So to accomplish this layering the football here, they made sure they wanted to change some things. The biggest change you will feel immediately is how we evolved the concept of throw power. So now throw power simply does not refer to distance of the throw, but also how hard you can throw the ball. You often hear color commentators discuss that a quarterback can throw a 10 to 15 yard bullet on a hook and dig route rather than a 60-yard bomb downfield. So with these types of elements, for years, players have been able to hold a bullet pass with little to no consequences whatsoever. However, within this new layering system of throwing, the distance of a throw and the quarterback's attributes and abilities will affect how accurate of a bullet pass you will actually throw, potentially resulting in penalties or, throwing an interception, of course. So on the start of a pass, you're going to notice 3 colors: blue, yellow, red. The size of these sections depends on your quarterback's attributes and abilities, the throw distance, and other factors, of course, like pressure. Are you throwing off your back foot? Are you on the run? All of these elements are layered into this. So landing in the blue will increase the chances of throwing a safe, accurate ball. Throwing in the yellow means you're going to have an uncertain target. It could miss, it could hit. And throwing red means it's inaccurate, most likely. The longer you stay in red, the greater penalty will most likely be, which can lead to an interception or fumble or, just an errant throw that goes 10 yards out of bounds. So quarterbacks with weaker arms or low accuracy ratings will have larger red sections compared to quarterbacks that have stronger arms and better accuracy ratings will have a higher blue section. So you're going to see those elements displayed within the game as well. Now here's an area I think is going to be interesting for comp players that like to play competitively, is the switch stick. So they say this: have you ever found yourself making adjustments to defend opponents' passing game? You try to stop a single pass and you repeatedly use the same exact defense. Now they said control with the switch stick, a simple yet powerful tool to make defense switching more compelling than ever. So when you're lurking in pass coverage, you can flick the right stick. This will directionally switch you to a player in coverage according to the direction of the flick of the stick. So thus allowing you to play multiple levels on the field in a single instance. So they say we all know the pain when you're playing on the defensive line and you try to make an adjustment, and additionally there's a pass rush, so you press the left stick plus B or O button and to switch directionally with the hit stick, right? So no worries here. Once the quarterback throws the ball past the line of scrimmage, the right stick will now turn into the hit stick. Okay, so it'll turn back into the hit stick once the ball passes the line of scrimmage. So the defensive game has changed here, and I think it's going to add a lot of nuance to players that master how the switch stick will work. And I'm excited to see and get my hands on that as well. So now let's get into quickly go through playbook and team play style. They said there's over 1,500 new plays, more than 50 formations, along with 134 team playbooks within the game. You're going to have your air raid, multiple, pistol, power, spread, option, pro, run and shoot, spread option, veer and shoot as well, all within the game, staying true to the theme of player control. They will have a new trick play will also debut in the game called the DIY reverse. These plays will basically, you decide whether or not you want to hand off to your teammate using the pitch button or keep the ball and run. This introduces exciting plays like the halfback direct DIY reverse, designed to keep the defenses on their toes. So you're going to see tons of double passes, reverses, reverse passes, flea flickers, reverse flea flickers, all these different types of crazy plays that really you only see in the college game, which of course are going to make it so much more exciting to play with each of these playbooks. Now, also looking at what you're going to have the flex bone option introduced, featuring plays like the triple option, midline rocket toss, counter option, zone dive. Defensively, you're going to have new things like the 3-2-6, the 3-4, 3-4 multiple, the 3-3-5, 3-3-5 tight, 4-2-5, 4-3, of course, your 4-3 multiple, and just multiple defense in general. So if you're a junkie for all of the playbooks, defensively and offensively, all these crazy plays you see in college football, they're hitting it here in college football 25. Can't wait to see and test out some of these various playbooks and see what works best for me and my play style. Now let's get into tempo game. In order to replicate quick-paced, natural college football field, they have introduced new modifiers to pre-snap. So with these, you have the no huddle and the turbo type settings, both aiming to speed up the game flow. So in no huddle tempo, players will rush back to the line of scrimmage, offering traditional tempo option on Y or triangle. And although there is no huddle, audibles to plays within your personal groups will also still possible within this. Meanwhile, the turbo tempo encapsulates a rapid rush to the line of scrimmage activated by pressing the square or X button post play. Think back to the blur offense days that Oregon used to do. You essentially are trading the ability to have hot routes or audibles at the line of scrimmage for an advantage over the defense not being set on their plays. So, you have to play this kind of element of tempo and see what works best in any given situation if you want to keep a defense on the field or not. They're also stating that clock management and AI decision making regarding timeout usage has also undergone substantial revisions to accurately mirror the strategic decision making of real life coaches in situations. Both players and AI can now initiate a spike from any single alignment, thereby conserving critical seconds. In situations where a player or the AI are about to audible, players will glance to the sideline looking at a play holder for both offense and defense. If the defense is caught looking to the sideline, they will be slower to get off to the ball on the snap, of course. So I'm really liking all of that. I think the tempo of college football is super unique. And I think this type of variance within, especially if you're doing like a 32 team online dynasty, it's going to be really exciting to see how actual players will use this. And I'm actually excited to see how AI will use this as well. Now getting on to real-time coaching for all of you players that really like to control every aspect of the adaptive coaching engine, which will be in the game. This will have coaching aggressiveness possessing unique adaptive adjustment levels, meaning that different coaches will react and adapt differently depending on a successful run or pass, thus creating more authentic, dynamic, and unpredictable gameplay environments. So with this, the AI will have access to a full range of adjustments, just like a human player would make. As a result, you can expect to see teams employ an array of adjustments like showing blitz, run commits, QB contain, spies, all these various things depending on what you are showing and doing. The AI will adjust more appropriately than ever. Also, the defense of AI is also capable of disguising coverages and adding another layer of challenge to the gameplay as well. So situational adjustments are another key feature of this engine. And despite it being the first year of this engine significantly enhances pre-snap adjustment and chess matchups. So for example, in scenarios where you're inside the 10-yard line with a man coverage, expect to see more press and inside shade techniques, forcing the ball out and over the top rather than inside. Now let's talk about in the trenches. All the features we've been talking about, they say are huge, but because you win your championships in the trenches. The offensive line is massive. This is an area I've seen a lot of players talk about within Madden that they get really frustrated with. So they've done a ton of work in this year's game to work on up front, showing what the true game wreckers look like and feel like inside college football. There's more to the game than just sacking the quarterback. Great defensive linemen can dominate inside by using their size and strength advantage to create constant pressure and manipulating the pocket, thus disrupting how comfortable a quarterback is in the pocket. So there's also a new pass protection mechanic used to help with 6 pass protection targeting schemes. These schemes allow players to have increased control over matchups. Through user interface matchup lines, players can now see who is targeting who, and indicators will show unblocked defenders as well. Now, to maintain the flow of momentum and blocking interactions, over 400 animations have been added for the linemen. These animations not only cover open field blocking, but also extend to pass blocking, run blocking, to point of attack and engagements as well. They say the pass rush and run stopping power of the defensive line has also seen a significant upgrade. You'll have the ability for pass rushers to play more pass rush moves more often than they had in the past, and this improvement is backed with new animations. Similarly, defenses will now have the ability to play more shed moves in the run game and supported with new animations for the shed moves as well. Now let's talk about playing in the weather, the elements. Of course, this is an element I think that's been in pretty much all college football and Madden games, but I feel like it's always been kind of lackluster. So here they have an element they're talking about. Throwing or handling a wet football is challenging and fundamental component of course, football. We have introduced several changes to gameplay to make the experience more immersive and more realistically difficult. So weather now plays a significant role in influencing the outcome of a game, and the effects are far from subtle. So let's talk about the player movement and weather first. Harsh weather conditions affect the movement of your player. It can be challenging within wet weather to plant and cut in these conditions. You'll feel that whenever you're a running back, or if you're a quarterback stepping back in the pocket trying to get your foot planted. It's going to be sloppy. You're going to see and feel those elements, and it's going to make running routes really difficult as well. The passing game faces considerable impact when players using harsh weather conditions as well. Players are noticeably have wobbly passes, impacted pass accuracy and throw power, as well as other gameplay elements affected by the weather. And the chance of having increased drops, fumbles also rise under adverse weather conditions. The ball will become slippery, harder to control, increasing the risk of having turnovers. This aspect means that players will have to be extra cautious when handling the ball with the RB or R1 button to cover it up when taking hits so they don't fumble the football. This is not only a one-way street though. The weather will also make basic wrap-up tackles or dive tackles more challenging as well because of how wet everybody is. It will make everybody a little bit more slicker, a little harder to handle, and make you have to take really good angles to get your tackles. And then lastly, of course, with special teams, weather will impact them as well. You will feel the hits of your kick power and accuracy. Kicking the ball in heavy rain or in snow can drastically alter its trajectory and distance, making field goals and punts a challenging task when in bad weather. These are all wins to me. I love dynamic weather in these games that can impact your performance. I'm excited to see just how dramatic the weather may be within a blizzard, within a crazy rainstorm in Florida. I'm excited to see how the variance in this may be. Now let's talk about the kicking. So this is something I've seen a lot of players talk about. They have changed the kicking meter and how kicking will work in College Football 25. So let's get into it. How does it work? The distance of a kick along with the kicker's rating will decide the green and yellow sections of the meter, which you're seeing in this screenshot. This means that longer kicks with lower rated kickers will have smaller green zones, making the kicks more challenging. It adds an element of strategy to your game, as you need to now consider your kicker's ability before taking that 50-yard field goal on the road in USC or wherever you may be. As the ball is moving side to side, hash to hash, your goal is to lock the ball into as the ball is moving, side to side in the kicking meter, your goal is to lock the ball into the green portion of the kick meter by pressing the A or X button. Once that is locked for basically where you're kicking the ball, you'll then have to fill your kick meter up. To achieve maximum power on your kick, you'll need to release the A or X button right before the red portion of the kick power meter. So timing with kicking is key, and the excitement of nailing a perfect kick is more thrilling than ever, and it's hard to match as well. So if you miss, let's say you miss to the right of the middle of the kicking meter, the ball will veer right, and vice versa if you miss to the left of the kicking meter. This mechanic makes accuracy just as important as the power, reflecting the real-life pressures a kicker will face. And lastly, hitting the red in a meter will represent an overkick. This could result in a varied outcome in terms of inaccuracies, making it a risky move if you do kick in the red. Overkicking could potentially give you the distance you need for that 55 to 60 yard field goal, but it also can come at the cost of missing the goalpost entirely with bad accuracy. Let's get into these last sections here and wrap this long video up with this very deep dive for the gameplay. Let's talk about what they call swag out. We wanted to put the post-play creativity in the player's hands. We understand how much self-expression adds to the thrilling moments of play-to-play in college football. So this year, they have the choice from a variety of 20 different touchdown celebrations, 4 interception celebrations, and 4 first down celebrations as well. So here's how it works. Whenever you score, you can press in one of 4 directions on the right stick. And if you want to take it up a notch, you can combo the right stick with the left bumper or left trigger, or right bumper, right trigger. And this will have you have all sorts of different celebrations you can choose from. pumping up the crowd or taunting the opposing crowd, having fun with it, and showing your individual personalities. So we can have a lot of fun exploring that. And then, of course, victory formation's seen a bit of a change as well. They said they know the feeling of running a third or fourth and short and the opposing team gets out of timeouts. Running your backs is just enough to seal the game. As long as the football games have existed after this game-clinching moment, you'll have to sit under the center for 30+ seconds to take 3 consecutive kneel downs. Well, they're happy to say those days are over this year. As soon as the game is mathematically finished, there's no chance you can lose the game or win the game. It's done. Players will come out on the field and simulate the following kneels. So no longer do you have to go out there and waste 3 kneel downs. If it's mathematically done, you can't get it done, they will just simulate them and you'll get to your post-game celebrations. So ladies and gents, it was a long video here, but lots of good information from the deep dive for the College Football 25 gameplay, which was debuted today. Leave your thoughts for me down below. Let me know what you're most excited about for this year's game. What reservations may you have as well. Keep it down in the comments section, and keep it tuned here for more College Football 25 news, gameplay, and as we gear up for release coming this July.